GoDan tackles extreme poverty and food insecurity and works to improve nutrition by making open data on agriculture and nutrition more widely available, accessible and usable for all, as Lopa did mention. Our aim is to support the goal of zero hunger while improving livelihoods for smallholder farmers who make up approximately 90% of the agricultural workforce worldwide, and many of whom live in developing economies. Our activities have encouraged numerous governments and organisations to commit to open data policy and the release of their data, as evidenced through international accords that we've brokered, such as the 2016 Nairobi Declaration and the more recent 2019 Accra Open Data Declaration. We were also involved in pioneering the development of the data standards known as the Fair Data Principles, which underline the importance of making data findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So I'll just outline quickly today's talk so you know what to expect. We are going to give a brief history and background into GoDan and introduce the secretariat, and then I will hand over to my colleague Suchith to introduce the key agriculture and nutrition issues and talk to you about the importance of open data in agriculture and nutrition. So first of all, a bit of background to GoDan. GoDan was formed at the G8 summit in 2012, where attending world leaders committed to support an alliance for food security and nutrition with a view to achieving the goal of global food security by 2030. They pledged to convene an international conference on open data for agriculture, which took place in April 2013. The global G8 conference supported the development of new solutions to make agricultural data readily available internationally. In October 2013, the GoDan initiative was announced at the Open Government Partnership Conference, and a secretariat was formed and hosted at the Centre for Agriculture and Bioscience International, or CABI, which is based in Wallingford in the UK. GoDan hosted the first ministerial conference on global open data for agriculture and nutrition in Nairobi in Kenya in June 2017, with 15 African nations committing to developing open data policies. By July 2019, the GoDan partnership had grown to over 1,000 members. And in September 2019, GoDan moved to the McGill University in Montreal in Canada, where the director's office and the headquarters are currently located. So a bit about the GoDan secretariat. GoDan is supported by a secretariat, as we've mentioned, that's based at the McGill University in Montreal. And in addition to supporting the network, the function of the secretariat is to build high-level support for open data among governments, international organisations and the private sector, to coordinate and advise on capacity development aspects of open data, from training and advocacy all the way through to data rights and data policy, to enhance community ownership of transparency and open data through harmonising partner activities and encouraging knowledge sharing, and to manage training events and multilateral dialogues around open data and encourage the sharing and increase awareness of innovation and good practice in agriculture and nutritional open data. The Secretariat's a mixture of administrative staff, communications experts, and subject specialists. I briefly touched on our mission in the introduction, but I also wanted to talk about why it's more timely now than ever, the use of open data in agriculture and nutrition. The challenges of food production, distribution, and access do lead to hunger, malnutrition, and food insecure populations. And while hunger has seen a decline over the last 2 decades in some countries, it is still unacceptably high. The coronavirus pandemic threatens to undo the progress that's been made and drive more people back into poverty, and 250 million people are expected to experience acute hunger this year. Related to hunger, malnutrition also still remains rampant, exacerbated by the lack of knowledge people have about locally available food options and the importance of food and nutrition choices. And with the population expected, the world population expected to reach around 9 billion by 2050, global demand for food and animal feed is expected to nearly double. Also, as a direct consequence of the current COVID pandemic, experts say that the number of people at risk of hunger is likely to exponentially increase. Now, GoDown firmly believes that data and agricultural innovation, along with data and research sharing and collaboration, are the answer to these challenges. And along with our partners, we're working to foster the innovations necessary to meet these challenges. And I'm sure many of you will have seen this pictogram before. This is the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals that were designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. GoDown's work and our partners' commitment help support many of these goals, notably the second goal there of zero hunger. However, solving these global challenges requires global collaboration. Since its inception, the GoDown network has been going from strength to strength. And GoDown currently counts, over 1,200 partners from public sector, private sector businesses, research institutions, both local and national governments, international organisations and farmers' organisations, united around a common goal of making agricultural and nutritionally relevant data available, accessible and usable for unrestricted use worldwide. So if Suchith is ready, then I would like to pass over to him to talk to us about the challenges in agriculture and nutrition.
Thank you very much, Kate. So if you can also move the slides, it will be helpful. So for the next slide, please. So thank you. First of all, this is a great opportunity. We are very pleased to join this meeting, especially because I read about this Center for Agroecology, and I think this really we really want to reach out to colleagues in agroecology, because I think this is really important. We are looking at agriculture in the broadest perspective, and we want to make sure how do we build sustainable initiatives. And I want to start with sharing why openness in data is very important. And as you might know, in agriculture, we deal from data from all from very different disciplines, from, for example, from earth observation data to to genomic data. And so it's a very broad and different scales of data. And to just give you one example from one of the data sets, for example, from the earth observation data sets, which is very important, for example, from climate aspects, from climate studies to a lot of different aspects in agriculture. I just want to show how just one even in one data set, just opening up it had a big impact. And the example I want to show is the United States Geological Survey, USGS Landsat program, which many of you might have known. So this program was the USGS decided to make the Landsat's data free and openly available in start of early 2009. And I just want to show how that impact has had not only in the US but also in the global economy, not only in the economic terms but also the huge tremendous impact it had on widening access to the research knowledge globally. So that is one example, and this just shows why it's so important to have that openness in the agriculture space. And the next slide, please. So over the last 10 years, there has been huge progress happening. As many of you who have been there in the open data space will know, they have from the 5-star open data model in around 2012 to the FAIR data principles in 2015. So the progress has been really good, but there is still a long way to go. So next slide, please. From GoDown, because our work, we have two aims. One is we were looking into the zero hunger aim, but our other aim is also how do we improve the livelihoods of smallholder farmers. And as many of you who are working in agriculture know, the majority of the smallholder farmers who are the major kind of whose major livelihood is in agriculture, they are also some of the most poorest in our planet. So we are very keen to look into how we can make sure we can improve the livelihoods of the smallholder farmers. And we believe capacity development and empowerment is very key, and that's why our focus on open science is really important. And we look into it at a holistic perspective, not just on open data, but how do we improve open standards, interoperability, open access to research publication, very important for researchers in the developing world, so they also can get access to the latest scientific knowledge. Open education resources, another important aspect for capacity development. and open software. So these are all different aspects we want to look into when we look into how we build capacity in empowerment in the globally, especially in the developing world. And there are a lot of good examples around the world that we take inspiration from. And I just want to give one example from the colleagues in the European Commission. When they started working on this whole philosophy of open innovation, open science, and open to the world. This was sometime in 2014, and this is now the Open Science Cloud has come, and so there is a lot of momentum building upon on this whole open science ethos as well. So next slide, please. And from GODAN, as Kate mentioned, we work on building high-level policy. That is very important, but we look into different aspects. So at all different levels. So this is one example of how we have been looking into bringing a ministerial level support for these initiatives. But we also look into how we can implement practical actions at the ground level. Next slide, please. So we do it, using a lot of different ways. For example, this is one example where we do like think tanks in different places. For example, this is in Nairobi, in Kenya, where we brought together universities, government organizations, private sector to look into what we can do to help build more and expand this the agriculture empowerment idea. So. And again, the open science and how do we build capacity development is one of the key aspects of GODAN's work. Next slide, please. And there are so many other examples, but I thought I will, we run a lot of different works for, how to make this possible. And there are a lot of like student-led initiatives we are involved in. And I wanted to show one example. So because many of you are in universities, so I want to see how, for example, through your universities, we can also expand. So this was one example of one of the initiatives we worked with colleagues in NASA for a challenge called the Whirlwind Challenge. This was in 2017, and the whole idea was how do we build up, there is a lot of these open data resources available, but how do we make sure we can give these opportunities to students to build up digital agriculture projects? And I was very impressed by the response we got from the student and the university communities globally. We had some amazing groups of projects that were submitted, all within like a 3-month period. So next slide, please. And to our surprise, all these projects were very high quality, and these were student and led projects. And this one actually won the NASA challenge, and it was a project that was developed by high school students in the USA, who were able to, in just 3 months, bring together an amazing application that could, collate over 100 years of historical agriculture and climate data on a mobile device. And for me, when I looked into the applications that were developed, one thing that was very clear to me, it was, if we can, there are so many challenges we have, but we have amazing talent available across the world. And if we are able to make these opportunities available to globally, we are able to harness some of the amazing ideas which can come from all different parts of the world to help solve some of these agriculture problems. So that's why we are very, very keen to expand these ideas, and we run a lot of innovation challenges for students, partnering with different organizations, and we will be keen to expand our collaborations with universities. And that's why I'm keen to learn from some of the work that, for example, and after our meeting, we'll be happy to hear from what, for example, Coventry University is doing and how we can work together on different aspects of providing more opportunities for faculty and students in some of these work as well. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, capacity development is one of our key areas because we believe we need to build up capacity, especially in the developing world. And one of the ways we do that is provide training programs, and we do hands-on programs, but we also heavily work on like MOOC programs, and these are all freely available for everyone. So this particular program was developed in collaboration with FAO, Wageningen University, and many Open Data Institute, and many partners who were able to build an amazing set of resources which are free and openly available for everyone. So, for example, if this particularly focused on open data management in agriculture and nutrition. So, if universities or our colleagues are interested to build upon this, please feel free to make use. All it is all in Creative Commons, so we welcome colleagues to make use of it, and also please translate it into different languages. Now we have colleagues who translate into French, but we are keen that if colleagues are interested to make please translate into local languages as well to benefit the wider global community. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So in the capacity development, we are also looking into making sure we welcome engagement from other colleagues who have different expertise. And one way you can all help us build up some of these work is joining our working groups. And as Lopa mentioned in her introductory, the working group on food poverty, which connected us to Lopa and colleagues, wider colleagues. So we are very keen. Because we know that there is a huge amount of expertise available globally, and we need to reach out to. And agriculture is a very multidisciplinary area, and we want to make sure we work with colleagues with different expertise and bring them together to solve some of these issues. So we have set up this working group on food poverty, but there's a capacity development working group which we have over 5,000 policymakers who are part of this working group, and sharing some amazing work. So the whole idea is we want to make sure people share some good practices in different countries and different organizations they are working in with the wider global community, so that we all learn from each other. And that's why we want to build up these communities of practice and to help us advance our ideas on many of these issues. So feel free to join any of these working groups. And in fact, because I know some of you are from the agroecology, we will definitely welcome you to the soil data kind of aspects, which we are trying to expand it into a sustainable agriculture kind of working group. So we will definitely welcome some of your expertise in those kind of areas as well. Next slide, please. So I want to make sure we have more time for questions. So what I really hope is if I see a lot of colleagues who are joined, so we would like to hear from you, and also if you can also introduce yourself and also your background as well. It will be very helpful for us to look into how we can work together with you in the future as well. Thank you very much to Lopa and to Coventry University for this opportunity, so that we can come and share some of our experiences with you. Thank you. Look forward to questions.